Okay. Come on in.
Here's a microphone for you.
Perfect.
Our awesome
One more for us.
microphones.
Alright.
We can clip this on too. Yeah? Okay.
Are we doing visual on this too?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. This is being streamed out to YouTube.
Oh, we're live.
Yes, we're live.
Hello, world.
I should have told you that before you got on camera.
I consent, worry not.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we are live on the ZFAV Club at YouTube, and this is being restreamed by Rama with Spanish subtitles onto the Zcash en Español assets on Free to Z on YouTube and into the, I believe into the Discord Zcash Global Spanish voice channel as well. So we're covering all the bases, and now I'm joined with the crew from Nighthawk Apps.
Hello.
Hi. So, Alicia, would you like to tell us what you're experiencing or what your experience at ZCon has been like so far?
Like ZCon is an event where you get to connect with
Microphone. Oh, you have it there. Okay.
You have it.
Yeah,
Check
sorry.
it out, right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
So we get to connect with so many diverse perspectives and Zcashers from around the world. So I'm really thankful that ZF makes this event happen. I was lucky to attend last year's event in person in Vegas, and before that I attended the event virtually, so this really makes a difference. Of course, you can watch the sessions later or live stream it, but when you actually talk to the people behind the projects, you learn about their intentions, what they're going through, where do they see the future going, what are the expectations from Zcash, or the other cryptocurrencies that they use, right? So it's a lot you get to learn, and this is the bear market right now, as we all know. It's a time to build. Their tensions are even higher, so expectations are even higher. So you get to basically learn from everyone's perspective and make a plan to move ahead. Matt here is new to Zcash. We got him on Nighthawk this January. So, Matt, do you want to talk about your experience so far?
Yeah, it's been really interesting just seeing, because I've kind of been like a sculptor a little bit on the forums and kind of in the community online, just because, I don't know, maybe it's like imposter syndrome or something, but just being so new to the community, I just, I haven't established as many opinions as some of the other folks have, so it seems to be less welcome. It's very interesting to meet everybody, to hear people's thoughts, and just how passionate they are about this ecosystem. It's very cool to see how invested people are. So it's been really fun so far. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the conference. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, the passion is real, and that's definitely noticeable. Like you can feel it when you're in these conversations with people, and we start talking about the stuff that we really care about, and we're enthusiastic about it. And the personalities of all of us come out, and it's that passion that drives it out, I think. And everyone here is passionate about privacy, but also some other part of that is the Zcash ecosystem. Like, for example, wallet development. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I know we still attend our session on day 3.
That's what I was going to ask. You're doing a session, right?
Yes, we are. So Nighthawk originally started in 2020 as a hackathon project organized by BCC, and our aim at that time was, like personally for me, I wanted to make a usable wallet for myself and our user base, the Boston Zcash user group. So we had certain criteria that we wanted a shielded only wallet, right? So no transparent ZEC. We actually blocked users to send ZEC out to transfer addresses as well in the beginning. So we are that hard focused on privacy. Of course, no logging. It's a tough thing to do in mobile software development, where you want to learn from your users about how their experience has been, to collect logs. But having been software developers ourselves, we know how much extra logging and surveillance can leak your information. So we didn't want to do that. So we worked closely with our early users to develop their experience. Learned a bunch of stuff. Got a UX designer funded who built a new UX that we'll be launching soon. Because design is important. There are people out there using their banking apps, their P2P payment apps, and they have set expectations of how payments should work like. Even beyond, okay, so those are the new users that we aim to target for Zcash adoption. But existing cryptocurrency users may have set expectations of how their mobile wallets of other cryptocurrencies work. So it's a long way to get there. The thing I find missing in Zcash is dev tooling, and that can be as described as something you introduce to new developers, like, hey, you want to try Zcash? If you have a Mac, just go to brew, install ZKit. If we had something like that that existed, we can attract new developers and make them work. So it took us extra time to dive deeper in Zcash, find gaps and overcome a lot of things, and just at the time when we released the working product for about 6 months in 2022, we had good times using messaging parties and all, but then the spam attack started after the ME5. That really pushed us back, right? Because our users could no longer keep up with the chain, user experience dropped. There were other issues, like I was serving on the Zcash grants committee at the time, so I could not fund our developers, and I mean it was the pandemic also. We should not forget, people are going through a lot of different challenges. Yes. Personal issues of developers and contributors, and it was a hard time overall. So, but we're still dedicated to the mission. We want to have tools delivered to people living in areas where the oppression is real, oppression of people is real, surveillance is real, censorship. So much censorship happened in the last couple of years. People are even scared to have their own opinions voiced, like which messaging app can you trust? So these kind of topics keep us driven, and we are now soon to relaunch our application with the software thinking algorithm, thanks to Strand, who works at the ECC, where those dimensions are going to help us. It did come with a lot of TDM challenges. We'll be diving deeper into that later. We're getting there where we will have a supreme premium user experience, and we want to have it not only for ourselves but for everyone else.
Yeah, I think that's super important, and the fact that you are designing it as a user as well. So this is something that, I mean, there wasn't a Zcash wallet with the GUI for so long. The Zcash wallet that we had to use was, that we had to work with, was command line, Linux only, Zcash-D, essentially. And
I do want to give credit to Zek Wallet, the other Aditya PK. He proved that you can actually have a companion wallet app and use sapling shielded pool just in 2018 to start actually making Zek usable, shielded Zek usable on wallets, mobile wallets. So that was huge. So he's been our inspiration. He's motivated me personally when I came to develop wallets. Unfortunately, he's no longer active in the community right now. But we are happy with our path we're chosen. We're building native applications for Android and iOS. Zek Wallet was actually a really good wallet for a long period.
yeah, it was. It was really nice. And then Zek Wallet Lite was also really good software. And unfortunately, none of that is maintained anymore, like you said. And I still see people posting in the forum and in the different Discord channels that they run into some problem using Zek Wallet because it's not maintained anymore, it's not supported anymore. And that's so important when we have communities building wallets and building tools, that they need a sustainable way in order to maintain that, because software needs to be maintained.
Absolutely, like we do have a self-sustainable dev funding model in Zcash, and people tend to forget, like who's funding all this? Any cryptocurrency they see number going up, you gotta find out, like follow the money, who started this cryptocurrency, what were their intentions? Was that something that was funded by a recent round of Silicon Valley investors? Are they planning to dump it on the retail? Must they go live on mainnet? There's so many different ways people fund their projects. Money does keep volumes low, because if you have cash, you can attract cryptographers and leading teams to build up the product. In Zcash, we have taken the hard path. That is, let's not have conflicts of interest with third parties and outside people. Let's try to convince that, hey, we could use the block rewards as a means to not only secure the network proof of work, but consider the security and funding of protocol development, application development, and funding the actual people who are actually making a difference for Zcash around the world, paying them from the block rewards themselves. And they can just do what's best, because if they were funded by some third parties, there's some censorship operation going on, they will be targeted and the funding might be cut off. But if you pay from
Yeah,
the walk
it was
rewards,
like April.
well, you are directly paid from a decentralized network. Who's gonna stop a decentralized network?
Yeah, and this dev fund then, in case anyone who's watching doesn't know, the dev fund is a percentage of each block reward that is paid out to various entities. So Electric Coin Company, Zcash Foundation, and the Zcash Community Grants, which you, Aditya, you had mentioned that you were on the Community Grants board when, and then you transitioned to working just on Nighthawk apps. And so that was, what was your experience like working in CCG?
Well, it was only the second year of the community-run grants committee. I think the first thing we did was change the name from Zeal because we thought it might not attract a wide variety of applicants from different phases. So we changed to Zcash Community Grants as a thing driven by the community interests. So it was a hard start, I think, for the previous committee, right? They were just learning about how do we go about funding, how do we evaluate grants, which grants do we fund, how do we focus on things without having overlap on what ZF or ECC is already doing. And so on one side we had grants that were being applied and we were dealing with that. On the other side we had our own proposals that we were building, the request for proposals. We had certain ideas of what the community needs, and we were learning from the forum leaders what community needs and develop proposals for those so people can apply. Like I made a proposal RFP for making a unified UniFFI library for Zcash. So any programmer in Python or Java or Kotlin can use the basic cryptography methods for accessing Zcash. It doesn't have the syncing and the heavy lifting stuff, but at least you can get started with the crypto aspects of the Zcash network. So there have been such initiatives we took. But of course, so much learning curve, we realized we didn't have enough time to evaluate. Like we are given 15 hours a month compensation from ZF. But again, who's to stop you from working more? So some of us actually put in way more hours, reaching out to people, taking initiatives, going to conferences and growing. But while all of this was happening in the broader market, what was happening? With the whole bust of the SDF, FTX, the coin price kept going down. So when I joined the company in January, we had a treasury of $26.5 million. And by the time my tenure was over, it had reduced to $2.63 million.
Just because of the market.
Correct. So that changed a bunch of things for us. Lacking thing I feel I can talk is, I think this is public information, right? So we did not hedge our money. Like we did not store, sell ZEC for USD and USDC. We just held the ZEC to get from block rewards and decided to release it as we feel as when we voted on grants and evaluated them. Yeah, I mean, bunch of challenges. You have 5 different people. You have a voting. You have regular brainstorming sessions. It was a bunch of work.
Yeah, well, and like you're saying, this is the beginning of this process. We're so early in Zcash that we're still trying to figure out what we're doing.
Correct.
And it's like trying to change a jet engine while in flight, and like changing the name of the grant committee doesn't even sound like that big of a deal, but it's decisions that have to be made in order to figure out like how we best attract the best talent, how we get the best applicants for the grants, and changing the name might be the way to do that. And then there's also communication throughout the ecosystem between the communities. And so Matt, you said that you're new to Zcash.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and was it Nighthawk that brought you into Zcash? Did you have some interest before that?
Well, actually, Adi had asked me to get involved in some development with Nighthawk, I think a year or two prior to me actually joining, and just with at least my perceived skill set or just the situation in life at the time, I didn't end up joining in any meaningful capacity. But I was aware of Zcash at that time and kind of what it was about, and then in January this year, Adi reached out to me to see if I would be interested in helping out with this new version of Nighthawk. And it was really interesting because I had at the time been going through and learning architecture, which is it's an iOS Swift architecture that these guys, Point Free Co, they build. If you're a Swift developer, great guys over there. And he reached out to me and asked me if I'd be willing to help with this fork of ECC's wallet. And he said it uses TCA. I'm like, I've literally just been spending the last 2-3 months learning TCA. So the timing was right, and I felt like my skill set was up to the task, so I jumped in, and that's kind of where we're at now. So.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to meet you here at this event for the first time. DT and I, we've met before. We met at ZCon, I think, for the first time at ZCon 3. And how does, in your experience being the second time at ZCon in person, how does this ZCon 4 compare to ZCon 3?
Again, for me personally, I'm kind of an introvert, like any
Like a lot of us privacy folks.
Exactly. So the first year was more of like just getting to test the waters, meeting some people for the first time. Now it's more like we know people, so we can help other people to connect and see new connections forming. So it's much easier for the second year. If you leave out the fact that we still don't have a working wallet in the hands of our users yet with the delays in our relaunch. So yeah, it's a mixed feelings over here right now, but overall positive. We're gonna get it out there, our third milestone for this year, and we will take our feedback from our users.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's a really good attitude to have about it, and it really speaks to this passion that we had mentioned before. And it's interesting because when you're talking about how you work more hours than maybe you should, or we're so passionate about Zcash. I know that I do this, that it's like, okay, so I've worked enough hours this week, but there's all this other stuff I want to do. And it's like Zcash kind of becomes life at that point. And I just dealt with burnout a couple of years ago. It's a real problem, especially in developer communities. So do you have any tips for how to, I guess, better manage our time and energy? I mean, you've been through it with Nighthawk apps. And
I know it's tough. I think it's unique to every individual. How much burnout can you handle? Like I've worked in software development for more than 10 years, and we've had intense burnout working as a contractor and consultant. So for me personally, I try to find a hobby away from keyboard, AFK. So, and for me it's cooking. I cook for myself and I go for runs. I run. So running helps me personally. I run full marathons. I'm going to run the Berlin Marathon this year, again for the third time hopefully. And yeah, that helps me take my mind off. But yes, you're right. The burnout and the ongoing discussions about your work or things, the forum, keeping up with so many things, developments happening, even if it's a small community, there's so much being discussed and developed. So it's both realizing that hey, we are a small group of people coming up and developing this new revolution, while at the same time you have to realize that life is important. You cannot burn yourself out. You have to live your life day to day. You have to do the best, and only when you're healthy and feeling good, you're gonna put the good out there.
yeah, so true, so true. And I love how your hobbies are basically health, like cooking for yourself, eating well, and running, and marathons at that. Matt, do you have any hobbies that help take your mind off of work things?
Yeah. I have to force myself to get away from the keyboard and do some hobbies. I am recently married, so
Congratulations.
thank you. I spend a lot of my time, pouring into that and into my marriage, into my relationship with my wife. One of the things that we've been doing lately, just as a kind of take our mind off things, just a fun thing to do together, is we play Mario Party on the Switch.
Nice.
We're both pretty competitive, but it always ends up being fun. And we also are trying to do more reading, get less screen time before bed, just because we both, we wake up and we're just really exhausted and really tired, and so we thought, well, maybe we'll try and reduce the screen time we do before bed. So that's been helpful. Reading The Hobbit.
Also good.
Yeah, I really like that. And then I guess one of the other hobbies that I have that I don't get to do as much during the summer, but I do during the school year, is play trombone. I played a lot of trombone in college, classical, jazz, and then the town that I live in is the same town that I went to university, and they have a trombone choir that they invite community members to play. So I get to participate in that on a weekly basis, which is a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. The creative expression that you get from that, I'm sure, is very rewarding. And yeah, and then also like talking about the AFK hobbies. Like my hobby is video games, and that like you probably see the shirt. And it's not that great of a hobby if you work on a computer all day long because
Screen time.
it's more screen time. And then I'm sitting there working and thinking like, oh man, I really want to be playing a game. And I'd be sitting in the same place doing this, looking at the same screen. And I think having a musical hobby is a really good escape from that. And then also fitness and cooking is excellent. And with music, actually, there's I don't know if you've heard about this, but on Free to Z, there's a musician who's doing music classes on there and different string instruments. And I think it's a really cool use case for that platform. It's neat stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
So that's Andres Palmer is the musician. You can check him out on Free to Z. And I hope to attend one of his classes sometime. The time zone thing is a bit tricky with all of our communities.
It's all live, right?
It's all live on Free to Z. He does it, I think, once a week. He does it Fridays, I want to say. But the time zones are really tricky with working with a global community, I think. I mean, like a coin company and Zcash Foundation are all decentralized teams, and the Zcash community is spread all over the world, and now we're learning how to work together and find different tools to work together and to bridge language gaps and language barriers, and then we have time zones to deal with as well. And is your team decentralized in that way, where you have to try to solve these challenges of like time zones and coordination?
Yes, we are, primarily non-US based, so two of our folks are in the US, and another tester. I'm myself in Canada temporarily, originally from India, so I have a couple of team members in India. Our designer is in Norway, and we have other contributors in Europe as well. And of course the community is decentralized and they have been making pull requests, also contributing to translations. So we look at it as an open project. But as our team, yes, we are spread across 2 time zones. It does help us maintain and ship critical issues if something does happen, especially the infrastructure that we run for the Zcash ecosystem with quality.com. Yeah, we need to have a quick turnaround if something goes down because a lot of ecosystem plans and wallets rely on that.
Yeah, that's a good point that there is a benefit to having people spread out around the time zones. You can cover the emergency things and you can make good, quick work of problems that you find. It's really good stuff. Cool. Well, let's see, what else is, we've still got 2 days of ZCon left. Like, we've only done the 1 day and it seems like a full conference already. Like, with the amount of content, the quality of the content, the density of the content. So, the next 2 days, what are you looking forward to?
Just learning more about what else is happening in the ecosystem. There's a very large diversity of speakers this ZCon, and I just want to hear from everyone's words. Like today's session on programmability, the SOK programmability by Tom and Daniel was very interesting, and a couple of other panels. So looking forward for more panels and one-on-one talks. And also I have a panel tomorrow in the grants funding-based panel. So yeah, one of those panels. On the third day I have the Nighthawk roadmap panel and a wallet working session. So it's going to be a long 2 days for me.
Yeah, it sounds like it. What about you, Matt? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that I'm most looking forward to is, given that I'm still very early in my Zcash crypto journey, is just, letting my brain be a sponge, absorbing as much as I possibly can, learning about the ecosystem. And then the other aspect of it too is, just getting to know the human side of people, being able to stop talking shop for a second, being able to spend some time enjoying, a drink, just, breaking bread and all that sort of thing, just being able to, be a part of a vibrant group of human beings. I think that is part of this that's going to be really exciting for me as well.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, because especially after the pandemic, where we couldn't be part of a group of vibrant human beings or a group of any human beings,
Yeah.
and we weren't able to travel either, which really, like, we had ZCon 2 was fully online, and then I think there was like, then Vegas happened after the year after that, with masks and all of this, and the ZCon is such an important event for the Zcash community. I think that in-person events are vital for any decentralized global project, community, network, whatever it is, that we need to come together and have a chance to be in the same time zone and in the same space and talk to each other and share these things that we don't normally talk about when we're pitching our projects or when we're troubleshooting or when we're building. That's all work, that's all Zcash, and that's good and that's fine, it's awesome, but there's so much more to all of us.
Yeah, well, and I think the other thing that I would add to that too is that, just given the nature of what we do, we've talked about it, people have these broad, varying opinions and thoughts about how, the project should go, what direction it should go. And when you're behind a keyboard, it's really easy to let yourself get, uncivil. It can very easily, spiral out of control. But, at an event like this, you're looking people in the eye, you're having conversations with them, and it causes you to take pause and think, okay, I'm gonna a little bit more tactfully disagree with you, or express those sorts of things that online it would be much easier to just like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that all of the conversations, a lot of the debates and things that happen at ZCon, we try to be respectful. And it's like Dodger said something at the very beginning of his opening address, and he said, like, we do all disagree on some things. We have some pretty strong beliefs, and sometimes they don't always align. And the key is to be respectful, to listen. I think is a really important thing. This gets lost on the internet when there's text and when there's that empty input box and a keyboard in front of you. Then there's no listening in that equation. No. There's just none at all. And so it's not even a fact of it's not even like a matter of censoring ourselves when we're in person, but just being human, more than being someone who's hidden by a machine by the internet. So yeah, I think that's really good stuff. And the ZCon is such an important event, and I'm really glad that we're both here.
I totally agree. All the conferences around the world where crypto builders attend, that is where all the connections happen. Everything from almost every blockchain that has been spun since many years ago, at some time they met at a crypto meetup, including Zcash, I believe, right? So there was a Bitcoin meetup in San Diego many years ago.
San Francisco Bitcoin meetup.
That's okay. So that's where the connection was shared about, hey, we can add $0 proofs to Bitcoin. That was the first ideas there that, hey, let's take the ZK tech to cryptocurrency and give privacy to the masses.
Yeah, it's true. And now you're mentioning other conferences, other crypto conferences. Do you have any other favorite conferences that you've been to?
So Zcash is such a unique value proposition for the world. You can actually go to any conference and pitch privacy. So one of the favorite conferences of mine is the DevCon that happens in Vegas. So I'm going again. That's happening in 2 weeks. I was there last year as well. You can speak to all the hackers there, builders, people who care about their privacy, people in their own operating systems to recognize the importance of zero knowledge proofs and Zcash. Otherwise, I do attend the local meetups wherever in the city I am at. Connect with local builders, learn with their projects, ask them about what do they think about privacy, right? So where do you see its role, and such conversations then take you to a more deeper understanding of what you're truly building, and is it truly going to be usable, and does it protect your users and their actions and their intentions, etc.
Yeah, I agree. It's and the meetups are sometimes more interesting, more beneficial than the big conferences. Like you mentioned DEF CON, and that was actually my first tech conference that I ever went to. And talk about imposter syndrome. I'm a web developer who wrote a couple blogs about full disk encryption. And my friend who ran the blog site, he knew I always wanted to go to DEF CON, so he got me a press pass to go. And I'm wandering around, I don't know anyone, I barely know what they're talking about. And I grew up on computers. I was running a bulletin board service in the late 80s and early 90s. And then I was making websites in like the mid 90s and then started doing it all then. So I consider myself relatively technical, but in that scene at DEF CON when you're alone, like it's a really intimidating environment. And it's all very tech focused. Where at ZCon we have a huge, now this year especially, we have this real diversity of interests and ideas and people and backgrounds as well, that I feel like there's there's a different comfort level that you can find someone to talk to and connect with, and it's not like everything is way over your head like it can happen to other places.
Yeah, I would say that both of those things that you just described are benefits of this ecosystem. Because ever since my time in university, I've been, I've just learned that being around people that are better than you, in a sense, or like smarter than you, or like they're better at something than you, can only help you. When I went to university, I thought I was like really good at trombone. Then I went and played in this music department that every single person was so much better than me, and I had this moment where I was like, dang it, everybody's way better than me, like I want to practice and I want to get better. And I did, I ended up just becoming very good because I spent so much time in practice room because I was around people that were operating and playing at a very high level. And I think that we benefit from that in Zcash, right? Like, I've met so many people that can talk crypto just off the top of their head, cryptography, and I'm like, I only know maybe 25% of the words that you're saying right now. But like, me having that realization is just like, it pushes me in to learn and to do research and want to be better so that I can contribute at a high level, and then you get to pay that forward by being that person for somebody else. And then just, like you said, add to that the fact that even with these really smart people, they're very approachable, and they're very kind, and they're very just welcoming. And I think that's just like a testament to the group of people that you have here in this community working on this project. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I totally agree. This community and something about Zcash is bringing this community together that is very compassionate and very thoughtful. And I think you can see it in Zuko, you can see it in the people who work at ECC, you can see it in the foundation, you can see everyone that we've talked to. There's a real level of respect and dignity that we're treated with and that we treat each other with. And I think, I know I've been at conferences, at tech conferences, where that's not a thing. And you just, it's like the classic thing of going to some forum and saying, hey, I have this problem, and then instead of someone giving you a solution, they call you an idiot. And that doesn't happen here, I don't think. I haven't experienced it, and I consider myself to be like the dumbest person in a lot of these rooms, because like you had mentioned, Ying Tong's talk today, and I sat in on that for a minute and was like, what the heck? Like this is so far over my head. But luckily everything's being recorded, live streamed and recorded, so we can go back and watch it later. I can go back and watch it later and probably get a lot more out of it. And that's then using that dynamic to my benefit in order to become better. I don't expect to be doing anything like what Ying Tong's doing, but it's still valuable to know, have a rough idea of what other people in the ecosystem are working on and what they're doing, and then as a content creator, as someone in the ZFAB Club, one of my goals is to be able to kind of bridge that gap of how do we explain zero knowledge proofs to people? How do we get proper UX feedback on an application that doesn't log? And this is a common problem with decentralized projects in general, privacy projects. So there's some really interesting challenges for me to solve from what I bring to the conference and to the ecosystem.
Absolutely, all the work you're doing, who knows, in the future you'll be making videos and tutorials on programmability on Zcash.
Yeah, and that is really my goal, because what I can bring to other Zcashers is this ability to record, to live stream, to document. and then work with people who don't have the time or the interest in knowing that stuff, but their information is incredibly valuable. And like, for example, one of the things that I really want to do is have live stream calls with wallet developers and with ECC developers, and you go through their code, and basically like the way that you would add comments to your code to document your code, and now instead of a live coding type Twitch stream, you have a live documentation thing. And it could be, there might be some developer that's trying to learn how to code or how to build on your platform on Zcash, or how to maybe modify, make pull requests on one of the wallets, and they are having trouble with understanding a certain function or a certain method and how it works. And they find that part in the video, and the developer, the person who wrote the code, is there to explain it to them.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea actually. Even if you can make a bare minimum video for helping users work on a pull request for filing an issue, right? So to describe the issue, the steps, many people are still new to the technical jargons and GitHub. So
Yes.
to make it easy to understand, video on how our users can open an issue against our wallet, that will help us fix it sooner and improve the wallet faster.
Yeah, it's so true that like there's so many learning curves and roadblocks that are involved that aren't about Zcash even. Like like GitHub, real clear like speed bump there. I think every time I try to use GitHub, I have to relearn how to use GitHub. and it's, I mean, there's other tools that make it better. I don't necessarily know those tools because I don't use it that often. I've used it for websites and things in the past. But having this kind of sort of parallel information it makes it easier for onboarding, let's say, then I think that there's a lot of value to that. And looking outside of just Zcash. And what are the systems that are connected to Zcash, what are the communities that are connected to Zcash that we can then reach out to and help to learn from each other and collaborate. And like you say, like if someone finds a bug in your application, they don't have any clue how to get there, how to go, but they can Google like how do I create an issue, and then, or DuckDuckGo or whatever you want to do, like you can do how to create an issue, and then it would come up with these videos that explain it specifically. Absolutely. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about, how we can all work together and bring all of our different interests. I mean, it'd be awesome if we could have a live trombone party sometime.
You know what? We could probably make that happen.
Maybe after the launch of the wallet.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Adi wants to keep you focused on code.
Yeah, that's legit. I totally could appreciate that. Yeah, totally. Cool. So, do we have someone else that? Hello. Hi. You want to come talk to us? And everyone watching the live stream is like, "What's going on? Who's this? Who's coming up?" Dan, can you check the camera for us?
You want to check him?
Yeah, just check the camera out.
Oh,
Are we live on the internet?
Yeah.
Yes, we are live on the internet. Woo! We're live on the ZFAV Club YouTube, and it is being restreamed by Radma with Spanish subtitles
Nice.
onto Zcash en Español, Free to Z, Zcash en Español YouTube, and into the Zcash Global Discord in the Spanish voice chat.
Oh, cool.
So here's a microphone for
Awesome.
you. Can I snap one of your microphones?
Hold on.
There we go. Cool. So, I don't think that this man needs an introduction, but just,
I'm Zuko.
this is Zuko, my friend and colleague, and the mastermind, along with the 7 scientists that brought us here.
I'm one of many.
One of many.
Yeah.
So, you were on stage a lot today.
Oh yeah, I'm tired of it.
You're
I'm
tired?
not being on stage tomorrow. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna be in the audience tomorrow. Oh yeah.
I was just about to ask what you were looking forward to, but now we know.
All of the talks, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the agenda and I want to see all the talks, so I'm gonna watch all the talks.
That's great. And did you have a chance to check any out today?
Yeah, some of them. I don't like the 2-track thing because then I'm forced to miss one sometimes.
No. Yeah, they're all online. They're being live streamed. You can watch them later. So
Sometimes
that's
it's hard to find the recordings later, right?
Yeah, Zcash Foundation, the Zcash Foundation YouTube will have them, but there's
Okay.
going to be, what, like 50 of them or something, and so going through and finding them, it's quite a catalog. Yeah, absolutely. And so of the times that you were on stage today, can you tell us about what your presentations were so people can find them and watch them?
The first one was ecosystem update from Electric Coin Company. So 15 minutes to describe what Electric Coin Company has done since CCon 3 and what we're currently working on. And the main thing was what we're currently working on, which is decentralizing Zcash and focusing ECC. I mean, that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about because we need other people's help with that one.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're so vision-oriented to have the mic.
Oh, you got one.
To push that decentralization, because there's a lot of false rhetoric outside in the rest of the cryptoverse that maybe ECC is not interested to do that, to keep all the work to themselves. So,
Yeah, it's just really interesting how little information, little accurate information there is. And I think about this a lot. It's like, like 1,000 people or something who have a lot of information, and then there's like, I guess 10,000 people who have this very limited information, and there's like 100,000 people who know almost nothing, about Zcash or about some topic. And there's a very large group of people, I think, who believe that Zcash is centralized and that I control it. And it's so not true nowadays. Like it was true 7 years ago, more or less, to us.
Maybe.
Yes,
I mean,
sort of.
I was here 7 years ago, and I wouldn't have thought of it that way necessarily.
Because
It's
it was
just
already a fully decentralized network. It's just that I had almost all the control over like new development.
yeah,
So
an
years
organization
ago.
creation. All
Yeah,
of
and
this,
stuff like that. But anyway, so as a obsessive like accuracy maximalist, it always bugs me when I see people saying things that aren't accurate. So yeah, anyway, hopefully the word will get out that Zcash is decentralized. I have not personally controlled the future direction of it.
Yeah.
And that's
Absolutely, I agree. And now, so one thing that we're talking about a lot here on this talk show that we're doing is, and at ZCon 4 in general, is the community and the Zcash community, the Zcash communities rather, the plural Zcash communities that are really making a show of force at this ZCon, I think.
Oh yeah.
So, and this is going back to the decentralization of the different ECC assets and the work and. I don't want to say pushing that stuff off onto the community, but supporting the community in collaborating and decentralizing the creative process. In some cases, we're talking about Z.Cash and things like that. There's the creative process. There's the technical process. It's your 5th ZCon also. How has your experience been compared to other ZCons? Is there anything specific about this one that you noticed that's different?
Yeah, this one does seem to have a lot more like community energy instead of technology energy, which is nice. Although I'm a technologist, I really want to just geek out about things like crypto algorithms and stuff. I could probably do that too now that I know my talks. But anyway, there's lots of community happening here this time.
Yeah, there definitely is, and all sorts of different communities. Like there's the difference between the technical communities and the non-technical communities, so to speak. I consider myself part of the non-technical communities, and then you have the cryptographers and the protocol builders, and it's so much representation from all of these different communities and all of these individuals at this ZCon that you can really geek out on whatever it is you like to geek out on. And I think that's really, really great.
Yeah.
Very cool. How are you liking Barcelona?
I haven't really seen it yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw it through the plane window, and through like the taxi window, and through my hotel room window.
A lot of windows.
So far.
You didn't know Linux?
Yeah.
Horrible joke. It was right there. I had the tape. So, being.
How about you? How do you like in Barcelona?
Oh, I love
Looking for
Barcelona.
hot tips. After the conference is over, then I get to explore Barcelona, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Obviously, I've got to see the Sagrada Familia Church.
That's the Gaudi Church.
Yeah.
I was told that
Yeah, you also want to check it out, yeah?
Like the whole city is inspired. The architecture is inspired by the right? So
If we went back to hobbies briefly, one of my other things that I really enjoy is cigars. So if anybody knows of a good place kind of in the area where you can buy a good cigar and maybe some scotch,
That sounds
that
fun.
sounds the life.
Cigars from Scott?
So yeah, we were talking about hobbies, and while I have you here, do you have any hobbies that help take your mind off of Zcash?
Oh yeah, I play a team first-person shooter with my kids, and they're way better than I am at it.
But you still have fun, right?
Yeah,
And you get to play with your kids.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the important part. Yeah, it's so important to have these hobbies, like the things that take our mind off of work and be able to get out. I would imagine kids is a great thing. I don't have any kids, but I would imagine that's a great and compassionate and fulfilling escape.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's excellent. Is there any, or are there any non-talk kind of events that you're really looking forward to at ZCon 4? Things that maybe you had a taste of at a previous ZCon that isn't happening in the track rooms?
I haven't really thought about it.
Okay.
I wanted to go on your walking tour of Barcelona, but then I realized I need to have meetings.
Yeah, that's why the walking tour of Barcelona exists. It's a ZCon tradition of mine to do the outside track, and I started this in Montreal because I was working for ACC at the time and live streaming ZF for ZCon, and I noticed that like I'm not getting outside at all, and I need some nature. So at first I was calling it the nature track, and then in Vegas there's no nature. So I think I had to rename it to the outside track, which is kind of nice too. Yeah, so it'd be great to have you if you could get out of the meetings, because it's exactly why it exists, is to get out of the meetings.
Well, let's see if something fun comes up once I recover from my day.
Yeah, a little recovery is absolutely what we all need.
I think it was ZCon 0 in Montreal where we did karaoke. That was fun.
Yeah, I don't think I was there, but I do remember hearing about it. And karaoke is a really great activity for these sorts of events. Back to the music, man.
Yeah, I think just being in Barcelona, one thing that we should tap into is the siesta. Because that's the cultural thing. It's baked in.
Does that mean having an happy day?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you need to leverage your siesta.
maybe after that.
Yeah, I really think that they should have built the siesta into the schedule. I noticed.
Yeah.
They should have embraced that.
Next time.
Yeah, next year. Cool. It's so great to see you. We only get to see each other about once a year.
Yep.
It's not enough, and then like we're both busy at these events, so it's always a passing. And here we have a chance to sit down and actually talk. So I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can breathe now. Even though you're still on stage. Sorry to wrangle you in like that, but
No, that's good.
yeah.
I'm honored.
Yeah, I know the honor's mine. It's doing these kind of live streams and being able to just sit and talk and have a conversation in the way that we do in the sort of the lobby track at these events.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm trying to kind of get a sense of that and get a feeling for the conversations that happen outside of the live stream, outside of the track, outside of the main tracks, and to bring that to our online audience, because I think there's a lot of curiosity about why we all love ZCon so much. Because those talks are stored, they're saved and live streamed. So
Good stuff, Ryan. Thank you so much for hosting all of us.
yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, totally. Super. Thank you
Thanks
very
all
much.
for watching.
And
Yeah.
Alex, you wanna come
Sure.
chat with us?
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Zuko. I hope that we have a chance to talk again more.
Yeah.
Enjoy your rest. Awesome shirt too.
Yeah.
Sí, cash en español. So, in case you're watching.